Good afternoon, Mr. Brady. It is absolutely wonderful to be speaking with you today about your journey in this industry and your work as CEO of Troomi. Before we begin, can you tell me a little bit about yourself, your work, and your mission?
Well, first of all, Aadya, I'm thrilled to be with you. I've been really looking forward to this. In terms of a little bit about me, I think my most important job is that I'm a dad to 5 incredible kids. My wife's name is Heidi. We've been married for almost 25 years. We've got 5 kids. Our oldest is 21, and our youngest is 8. So we still have little guy, and it's awesome. And I love having a big family like that. It's been wonderful. Professionally, my career was in marketing for 20 years. And, in 2018, I decided to make a big switch, walked away from the marketing world. I had owned a couple of marketing agencies. I was doing work for companies like Google and Netflix and some other big names. But I just kept looking for more, like just something that would make an impact. And it was around that time that I said, you know what, I'm gonna switch my career and try and help with all these issues society is dealing with relative to kids and technology. And that's kind of what set the stage for what I'm doing today.
Yeah, that's amazing. I actually find it really interesting that you worked in marketing before, because I've always really loved marketing, and I'm working on marketing for a lot of different organizations, so that's really interesting. Following your work, so Troomi's mission is centered around helping children develop a safe and balanced relationship with technology. So what inspired you to create this company focused on child-focused digital safety, and how has this mission evolved since Troomi's beginning?
It's really interesting because I've always had a sensitivity, if you will, about the effect of technology on humans. And this goes back far before everyone had smartphones, and certainly before social media. I remember being an undergrad in college and writing term papers about the dehumanizing effects of technology on humans. I had read a book called Technopoly by Neil Postman that really resonated. And, my wife and I both grew up in homes where there was a sensitivity about what kind of media is coming into the home, what kind of influences are we inviting into our homes through media. And when we got married, we just determined, hey, we're gonna be very purposeful, very intentional about technology and media. And certainly as smartphones proliferated and social media was created and proliferated, we were just looking at our own family and saying, you know what, we're going to take a more cautious, a more intentional approach. And that attitude really evolved into me saying, you know what, this is what I want to do with the rest of my career. I want to provide better options for keeping kids safe while still giving them the benefits of technology. And that's really what got me into this whole work for the latter part of my career.
Yeah, I think that's also a really important point, that some people, they think technology is just all bad, when it's learning to use it safely. That's the important thing, because it does truly hold so many benefits. So this is kind of building on what you said. So while digital safety is crucial, it's also important to prepare children for this increasingly tech-driven world. So how does Troomi strike a balance between protecting children from online dangers and equipping them with the digital skills that they need to succeed in the future?
Yeah, fantastic question. That's been part of our mission from the start. It's always been about providing tools to help parents raise vibrant, healthy, confident children who are ready to go after every opportunity the world has for them to achieve their full potential. And as part of that, we realized that kids have to learn how to use technology responsibly. So we created Troomi to be the safe phone that grows with your children. So you can start a younger child with limited functionality and a high amount of parental oversight, and let them grow into new features, new functions, and over time take on more of the control and the decision making around the phone themselves. So it really is about trying to help kids learn habits that are healthy, where they're using technology as a tool and getting all the benefits they're going to need from it for school and healthy hobbies and learning and creativity, but without it becoming this tyrant in their lives where it's like where screen time is the default for how we live. We think that you can do both, have a healthy, balanced relationship with tech while still having all the benefits that are going to help you enjoy and learn and have a successful career.
Right. Yeah. So one of Trumi's goals is to reduce screen addiction. So with children being increasingly reliant on technology for school, socializing, and just entertainment in general, what specific features or strategies does Trumi implement to encourage these healthy tech habits?
So this starts with the earliest habits. It's giving kids a device that at first is limited in its functionality. So for example, we suggest giving kids a Trumi phone that is literally just talk and text to begin with. And without having to replace the hardware, parents can then, gradually introduce more and more functionality as they've had the learning opportunities, the teaching opportunities with their kids, and their kids have learned how to do, for example, SMS texting with discipline. And then a parent can teach them about appropriate and inappropriate ways to use MMS texting, where group texting and picture messages are possible. And once they've learned those things, they can introduce that functionality. And then they can introduce a safe web browser and et cetera, et cetera. And it's marrying the learning opportunities with the new functionality that's being introduced. So it's just one step at a time, always age appropriate, really with the goal of teaching kids to use it responsibly and not just, hey, this is the default for how I live my life.
Right. I think that's amazing. It's like the phone grows with your child. So I think that's really cool. Trumi's mission closely aligns with organizations like our Digital Safety Alliance at Nicholas Children's Hospital in promoting safe technology use for children. So how do partnerships with organizations like focused on child safety and education contribute to Trumi's impact?
Yeah, the Digital Safety Alliance that Nicholas Children's has spearheaded is awesome. And really a great alignment with Trumi because the DSA is helping parents understand all of the issues that are out there. So many parents feel overwhelmed. They feel concerned about, their kids and technology. In some cases, it's just this gnawing feeling, but they might not even understand why or understand all the issues. And so the Digital Safety Alliance is providing parents phenomenal information on how to navigate all these questions of kids and tech, when to start giving them a phone, for example, what to have on that device, how to have the right conversations. And the more conversations like that happen in society, the more parents there are that feel empowered to say, you know what, we are going to do this differently. We're not just going to kind of throw our hands up in the air or bury our heads in the sand and take the easiest path. They say, you know what, we do understand, and we are going to choose to do this differently. And then they can make more informed decisions about how and when to introduce technology.
Yeah, so that actually leads perfectly into my next question. So many digital safety solutions focus on parental controls, but empowering children to make their own responsible technology choices is also essential, as you said. So how does Trumi integrate both parental oversight and child autonomy in its approach to digital safety?
It's about that progression, like I described before. I'll give you an example of that. So we have a technology in our devices that's called safe listing. And with safe listing enabled, the child can only talk and text with people who are on an approved contact list. And only people who are on that contact list can reach the child. And for a younger user, I would always say to parents, absolutely have that safe listing enabled, because it makes sure that your kids are not talking to bullies. They're not being reached by predators. They're not being reached by all the spam and the garbage that could potentially lead to things you don't want them thinking about or talking about. But we recognize that kids have got to learn how to do that and have some autonomy. So there's a lot of flexibility into the way that's built, where a child can always add contacts on their phone to that contact list. For a younger child, you'd have it set so the parent has to approve the contact before it becomes active. But that gives even younger kids the ability to add, they meet a new friend at school, and they don't have to say, oh yeah, I'd like to get your phone number, but I have to talk to my mom first. They can go ahead and add the number, and then the parent approves it. For an older kid, you would say, you know what? I don't need to approve your numbers anymore. You've learned enough and have shown enough responsibility that I just trust you to manage that. And so it's one of those examples where the young person is having more autonomy and the ability to help create that phone environment themselves.
Yeah, and I think that that's something that through the DSA we really focus on with the addition of the Teen Advisory Board, because it's like providing that the perspective of us as well. And I think that's what makes this mission really special, is that you have both sides working towards one common goal in different ways sometimes. But
we've learned our greatest insights as we've been building Troomi have come from young people, just hands down. Understanding the challenges the young people are dealing with, their concerns, their desires, all of that's been pivotal to the creation of what we're doing. So I love that the Digital Safety Alliance has created a phenomenal youth advisory council that you're obviously a great part of.
Yes. So the technology landscape, as we said, is constantly evolving. It's bringing new opportunities. It's bringing new challenges. So the proliferation of Gen AI is just one example. What future trends do you foresee in child-focused technology, and how is Troomi preparing to adapt to these changes like Gen AI?
I think Gen AI is a huge one that we're just beginning to see the potential of. And as with any technology, it comes down to staying ahead of it and understanding the concerns, understanding the risks, but also understanding the potential. How can this be used for good? And then putting the right parameters or the right guardrails in place to make something safe. The internet was obviously an example of that. It can open up a world of discovery and learning and understanding and creativity, or it can introduce you to some pretty awful stuff. And so it's just putting those mechanisms in place to make sure that a technology is used for good and not for bad. And we're seeing that with AI. And in our own company, we've introduced AI technologies where we've had to go through that process of saying, hey, how are we going to use this for good and make sure that any of the potential risks are avoided?
Right, yeah. We're doing something, I'm not sure if you know, but we're doing something similar at the DSA. So we're introducing a new Gen AI chatbot where kids can talk to the chatbot, get help on different things, and it's just to help them kind of navigate different areas in their life. So we're testing it out and we're in the beginning stages. So it's like you said, it's using AI for something good and trying to use it to guide young kids. So
yeah, I've had a chance to go through that and dig into it. It's awesome.
Yes.
So I encourage people to go out and use it. It's great.
So, as someone deeply involved in digital safety, what advice would you give to parents and educators trying to navigate these challenges of introducing technology to children in a responsible and balanced way? And you've kind of answered this, but I wanted to just ask it one more time.
So there's some pretty consistent advice I give parents, and that is to stand back and really look at the needs of your child. I love to say when I'm speaking, I speak to a lot of parent audiences, and one of the things I say is just because everyone else is doing it has never been the right reason to do anything. So,
Right.
when everyone starts giving their 7-year-olds and 8-year-olds phones, you don't need to say, well, I better do it too. You can make that decision based on the culture of your family and your child's specific needs and their specific maturity level. So it comes down to being very intentional. As your kids get to that age where they're asking for devices, really look at what are the practical needs that are trying to be addressed here, and what is the maturity of my child? Are they ready to deal with some of the questions that are going to come up relative to the responsible use of that device? And if they're not ready, put it off. And I would obviously always recommend starting with a kid-safe device where you can add more functionality and responsibility as the child matures. That's a lot easier than giving them everything at once and realizing, oh my goodness, this is not going well, and then trying to put that genie back in the bottle. That's really hard. So start with a limited experience and let it grow from there.
Right. So, regarding the Troomi phone, what ages do you primarily recommend this phone for?
Well, the beauty is we built it so that it's relevant and practical for kids of any age. And we have kids that are as young as 6 and 7 and 8. We have kids that are as old as 16, 17, and 18. We actually even have young people in their 20s that are using the device, where there's kind of a movement among some 20-somethings, 20-year-olds that are saying, you know what? We have to have a phone, and it has to have Google Maps, and I have to obviously call and text, and I want to listen to music, but I don't want all the garbage. I don't want social media, and I don't want pornography. And there are a variety of reasons why they have this mindset where they don't want all the distractions. So we see a full range, but the sweet spot is definitely tweens and younger teenagers is where we see the majority of our users.
Right. So, what has been the feedback of kids who have used it, or feedback of parents who have used it, or for their kids?
I've got lots of stories there, so I'll just have to pick a couple.
Okay.
From let me start with parents. The biggest feedback from parents is the feeling of peace of mind, knowing that they have taken a step to give their kids a device. And kids want phones, but parents want kids to have phones too, because it's convenient, right? Like, parents want to be able to reach their kids. They want to see where they are. And parents want phones for kids just as much as kids do. But they have that overarching feeling of, I'm not sure that it's safe, or I don't want to have to deal with the safety questions. So the number one feedback from parents is peace of mind. I can give my kids a phone without having to worry about the bullies and the predators and the inappropriate content. And all the garbage on social media that's causing so many negative mental health outcomes for kids. From kids, it's really interesting. A lot of our kids, this is their first phone. They haven't had an iPhone, so this is all they know, and they love it. It's great. It does everything they need it to do. And again, some of them, as they start to mature, they realize, wow, I see my friends dealing with, this problem or that problem because of bullying, or because of, this comparison culture on social media, and I don't deal with that. And we hear some of those stories. My favorite story of all time comes from a young woman in New York City that wrote me a letter, and it was very formal. Dear Mr. Brady, my name is so and so. I live in Queens, New York, and I have to tell you my story. I'm 14 years old. I got into problems with my iPhone, and my mom took it away for 2 months. And she said, I thought I was going to die not having a phone for 2 months. And she said, after a couple months, my mom said it was time for a second chance, and she gave me a Troomi phone. And when I discovered that it didn't have social media on it, she said, I thought I was going to die. She said it again. But then she ended with, I'm writing to tell you thank you, thank you, thank you. I didn't know I could be this happy.
Oh.
And the truth is, if you look at research from Common Sense Media, for example, 3/4 of teens recognize and admit that social media is not good for their mental health. They recognize it. And so we see those examples like this young person I just mentioned, where they get out of that rut. They get out of feeling trapped because everyone else is doing it. I have to do it too. But when they step out of it, they realize, wow, this is pretty great.
Yeah, I think that's so like I completely relate to that because I am on social media, and I do recognize that there are definitely negative aspects to having social media, but I also recognize that it's hard to let go and it's hard to say no to it. So I think that being able to do that and seeing the benefits of it is truly like amazing. So I'm so happy that Troomi is able to give kids that experience away from the mental health impact of social media. So actually, speaking of mental health, can you share with us why Troomi developed Troomi's new AI mental health coach, kind of what it does?
Yeah, its name is Trudy. And we recognize that so many kids, literally 1 in 4 kids in the country, are dealing with clinical levels of anxiety or depression. And for some of those kids, they come from environments where they've got all the support they need, and they're getting the help they need, and they've got family relationships where they can talk openly. But for many, many, many kids, they don't have that. Or even when they do have a good support system, there are still questions they want to ask or things they want to share that they're just not comfortable asking or sharing. And so we created Trudy, recognizing that a lot of kids are going to things like ChatGPT, and they can ask anything and get all kinds of answers back. A lot of which, frankly, as a parent, I wouldn't be comfortable with. And so we created Trudy as a safe place where kids can ask questions, share thoughts, and have a positive, uplifting interaction with a chatbot that's designed to be encouraging, to encourage critical thinking, to encourage emotional problem solving, and to be able to talk to kids in this judgment-free place, but that also has guardrails. So it's not going to get into subject matter that parents would consider inappropriate, or that would lead kids into, dark places. Right. So that was our goal, was to give kids this tool, but in a way that's going to be encouraging and uplifting for them, and something that parents would be comfortable with. The other side of that is through Trudy, we're also able to give parents insight into how their kids are doing. So to give parents through what we call our Troomi parent portal, where parents are already managing the device, now they have a mental health dashboard for their kids where they can see, hey, this is how my son or daughter is doing. Here are their predominant emotions, and here are any insights that would be helpful for me to understand about things that might be on their mind. And the feedback we're getting on it is awesome, both from kids and parents.
Yeah, that's incredible. I really like the parent portal part. I think that's something new. I've never heard of that in any other AI software, so I think that that's a really amazing feature. What do you see in future products from Troomi?
That's one of those questions that I've got to be careful with.
Yes.
But I'll tease one that
Okay.
we're really excited about. So we're in the final development and testing phase of a new browser that's awesome. So right now we have an optional safe browser on our current devices, and I say it's optional. Like, there are a lot of parents that just say, I don't want internet access on the phone, and that's the default. But with our current one, you activate it, and then you can grant access to specific domains for your kids. So they can't just indiscriminately search the internet, but you can give them access to the websites they need. And again, that's done through the parent portal.
Right.
In our new browser, we're using AI, and here's one of those very positive uses of AI. We're using AI to enable parents to give kids a browser that vets content in real time. So as a parent, I can say, I'm not comfortable with my kids seeing hate speech, adult content, gambling, whatever those things are. And I set those parameters as a parent, but then say to my child, hey, here's a safe browser you can use. And they can do that in real time and search for the things they want to look for. And then AI is vetting that content as it's requested and either saying, yes, it meets the standards set by the parent, here it is, or it's saying, no, it doesn't. This is a search for a gambling website, and gambling is not allowed. So the kid's going to get a message that says, oh, sorry, it looks like that page isn't allowed. But that's happening in real time. And we're really, really excited about the increased flexibility and freedom this is going to give for kids, again, while maintaining peace of mind for parents.
Yes, that's amazing. I look forward to seeing it in the future. This is my last question, but if you could wave a magic wand, what's one thing you would like to see or accomplish in the world of digital safety?
I think it would have to be a concept called collective action. I don't know if you've read a book yet or heard of a book that came out last year from a phenomenal researcher, a guy named Dr. Jonathan Haidt at NYU. And he wrote a book called The Anxious Generation that really takes a deep dive into all these questions surrounding kids and the way we've been parenting since, the proliferation of new technology and the devices we're giving kids and social media. And it's looking at all the negative mental health outcomes that have led to, what is nothing short of a youth mental health epidemic. And one of the things he says in that book is we've got to change the way we introduce technology to kids. We need to delay giving them full-fledged smartphones. We need to delay giving them social media. And he recognizes the challenges of that and calls out how much easier it gets when parents come together and say, you know what, we're going to do this differently. And the more parents that say, we're going to do this differently and postpone social media and start with a kid-safe device, the easier it becomes for other parents to do that. And it creates this momentum of collective action where all of a sudden a kid can have a limited phone and they're not weird because half of the other kids in their class also have limited phones. So that would be the magic wand, to accelerate that collective action so it really becomes the norm. The majority of families are saying, we're going to do this differently and take intentional steps to keep our kids safe.
Yes, like breaking the stigma around having a limited phone. I think
And
that's
we're already down that road. You know,
yeah.
I compared to what it was like 6 years ago when
Mhm.
I got into this space. And when I first started, people would look at me going, you're doing what? Why? And now it's more, oh my goodness, we need that. Thank you. So it's already a big difference, and it's already not a surprise anymore. It's normal for so many groups of people to say, we're going to do this differently.
Right. Yeah. And it's incredible to see how we've come along this journey, and it'll continue to progress. Thank you so much, Mr. Brady, for answering all my questions today, providing insight into Troomi and into your journey. I had a wonderful time speaking with you and learning about your journey over this digital safety world, and it was amazing speaking with you.
Aadya, thank you. It's been a pleasure. Thanks so much.
Thank you.